วัสดีครับ Welcome to Walailak Global. This is a program at Walailak University to communicate with our international audience about activities that happen at Walailak University, particularly those activities that are related to our internationalization effort. And today we have our guests from United Kingdom, from the UK, representing Advanced HE, Ms. Kathy Wright and Associate Professor Andy Hudson. Kathy is a Senior Fellow at the Advanced HE UK and colleague also from the Advanced HE. They are here to conduct a training program on teaching and learning. I would like to mention that at Walailak University in the past 2.5 years, we've been going through the teaching and learning reforms under the leadership of President Sombat Thamrong Thanyawong. Walailak University has been trying to benchmark our teaching and learning against international standards, and we have adopted the United Kingdom Professional Standards Framework, or UKPSF, the framework that has been developed by Advanced HE in the UK. This is a very important for us. It is a very important mechanism that Walailak University has been implementing as the central part of our teaching and learning reforms. So, first of all, I would like to ask Kathy to just to say a little bit more about what constitute the framework or what are some of the key components of the framework.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to this university and to work with your staff. Yes, we've been working here for several years now, and we run a training program which is linked to the UKPSF, as you say. The UKPSF is a document which was written by academics themselves. It is not a government imposed framework. It is something that has come from the sector itself. And what it seeks to do is to define what university teachers do. It's been in existence since 2011, I believe, and since then we have, I think, approximately 130,000 people who've been recognised as fellows, or the other categories of fellows as well. The actual framework itself is centred around 3 blocks of dimensions, 3 sets of criteria, if you want. The first area sets out what teachers do in their job. So they plan teaching, they teach, they assess, they give feedback, they make a wonderful learning environment for their students. But everything is underpinned by scholarship, by learning. What do we know about learning? So that's the main category. And then there are 2 other dimensions as well. One is about the knowledge. So obviously everybody in the university has higher degrees in the discipline that they are teaching. They're doing research in that, so they have a lot of knowledge. But what is special about this framework is it says you don't just need knowledge about the discipline, you need knowledge about how to teach. So that is a defining characteristic of this and what we've been working with your staff about. And then obviously underpinning all of that are the values, the professional values that we as academics and teachers hold, that inform the way we work with students.
Yes, exactly, because the essence of our teaching and learning reform here at Walailak University is that we want our lecturers who are specialists in their own disciplinary areas to be professional teachers. So they know how to prepare their materials, they know the teaching methods, they learn about the values to be professional teachers. And the way we have done it with the help from the Advanced HE is that we organize into a group of 60 staff, and we have had so far 3 cohorts. Currently what is going on at the moment, at this very moment, is the fourth cohort. So, in other words, 180 people have gone through what we call the certificate program. The program is very well designed by the advanced HE in the UK, and 85 of our staff who have gone through the program, the training program, have now been awarded fellowships. Some have been awarded senior fellowship, others have been awarded a fellowship. So we have done quite successfully in terms of working with the advanced HE, getting people to translate what they have learned from the trainers, particularly from Professor Hudson and Ms. Kathy Wright, into their own practice. And so, but we at the same time, we also organize workshops. We do a continuing professional development as part of the adoption of the UKPSF. And so you're now very familiar with the situation here, Kathy and Andy. You have met a lot of people here. You have been very familiar with the environment at Walailak University. Could you, both of you, probably can say a little bit about your impression about the work that you've been doing with us at Walailak University, and your impression of our staff, teaching staff, and all that.
Well, I think it's fair to say that we're familiar with it, but we're very excited by it. And I've been a teacher educator all my career, taught and worked in 4 different universities. But to come here and meet the enthusiasm of the teachers that you have here in the university, and to be able to work with them systematically on ideas to improve and develop their teaching, the kind of work they do in the classroom, the sort of assessment they run, has been a real pleasure and a real delight to be working with you. And the success that you've had with applications coming through for fellowship is extremely impressive. That they've actually taken a lot of our ideas on board, they're working with them, they're developing their practice, and they're reflecting very successfully on that practice and developing all sorts of wonderful new initiatives for the students that you have here. So we're very excited to be a part of that, Professor Suri.
And of course they challenge us. The very first time we came, we did lots of activities, lots of technology with them. And because they are very committed staff who've gone back to their faculties and schools and shared their learning with others, we are constantly having to find new ideas and new technologies and new activities, because they're putting them into practice, and all the staff are benefiting from what is being done.
Right. Yes, you are right, because we also have put in place mechanisms which can help our staff put in place what they have learned from you. For example, the evaluation system that we have evaluating their teaching. For example, we frame the kind of the questions that students would evaluate each of their teacher on the basis of the framework, the UKPSF framework. And also we tie in the UKPSF framework to the subject outline or syllabus as well. So it pretty much, in other words, they learn this one here, and they have opportunities to actually implement step by step, aspects of UKPSF. So we have invented this system in order to make sure that time spent on your part and our parts, is worthwhile. So certainly, we are very excited about the teaching and learning reforms that we have had at Walailak University. And I really like one thing about many things, but one of the things that has been highlighted here, and we pick it up from Advanced HE, is continuing professional development. We emphasize, the fact that what they've learned from the training program is just the start. They will have to continue to learn to develop their professional skills further.
And one of the things that's exceptional for us is that, I do a lot of work all over the world, and very often I just go once and I meet the staff once and that's it, and I don't know what's happened, I don't see the impact. Building a long-term relationship with this university for me is very enriching for me, for my professional development, but also we keep in touch through line with colleagues that we have seen over the years, and we're still sending them useful links, talking to people. So it's a continuing relationship, which is valuable.
In fact, you seem like a part of, pretty much a part of us now.
I'm an honorary member of staff.
That's part of us. Everybody, I mean, at least almost 200. Well, with this cohort, is 240 people have met you, and actually more, about 300 people. That is more than half of our staff already. So you're pretty much, part of us, playing a very extremely crucial role in teaching and learning at, Walailak
I think
University.
Another great thing about the way that you've been able to offer the opportunity for us to run the program here has been the way in which we've been able to involve staff from right across all your faculties, staff from across your faculties all working together with us. And that's been very productive as well, because colleagues from, for instance, the Faculty of Tourism are working alongside people from the Faculty of Engineering, people from Engineering working alongside people from Medical and Healthcare. And we've got a great interchange of ideas between those colleagues, which I think is, well, I wouldn't say it's unique, but it's very unusual to have that kind of collaboration. And I've got every sense that will be very good for the university. That will see you having wonderful new initiatives that go across your disciplines, and staff that are really well prepared and well able to give students the best possible learning experience.
Yes, indeed. And related to this point, because you see, we tend to talk very frequently, very intensely about research and publications. Sometimes I feel, here in the past, people were sort of, oh, by the way, we have to do teaching as well. But now we want to put the teaching and learning at the center of our operation, along with publication, research and publications and all of that. Now, you're from the UK. I'm sure, what prompted the UKPSF framework to be established is there was this discussion as well that teaching and learning has to be placed at the center of university operations.
It's a parity of esteem. I think there are more and more universities now in the UK considering that promotions in their career can not just be about research, but it could be about excellence in teaching. It can be about leading teaching initiatives. So yes, it has become very much a focus for the development of universities as they realise in a very, very basic, pragmatic way that the majority of money that they are earning is coming from students.
Yes,
so therefore you do need to look after students.
Exactly.
So, yes, morally it's right, but commercially it is also right to look after the students.
Yes, indeed, because we want to give the best service to students. I mean, like part of our teaching and learning reform, it also involves reducing class size. So we no longer teach people in huge auditorium. Maybe still introductory part of it can still be done in a huge auditorium, but otherwise we want to make sure that they'll break up into small groups so that teachers can be very close to their students. So teacher can do continuing assessment of their student, the formative assessment for learning, in other words, that you've been talking about. So all of this is really part and parcel of the teaching and learning reform.
It's important to say too that the work that we do here, we're not here providing lectures. We're not here doing an imposition of work from overseas. We're here to collaborate and to work with colleagues here. And we model activities that staff can do with students. Everything we do is work that staff can do with students. So we're bringing and working with new ideas, but hopefully colleagues here take those and make them their own and use them in creative ways to make sure that, again, you're giving a really good experience to your students. And those may be students local to Thailand, or there may be students that are coming here from overseas and have a strong commitment to a quality of education that I know you're able to provide.
Yes, indeed, because I'm quite impressed with the methods that you use to conduct seminars, because a lot of it they can just pick up and then implement that in their own
Especially
practice.
as you're talking about, the size of groups that you're aiming to have. Yes, the big groups which they have a purpose. There are many solid reasons why you have a large cohort grouping sometimes, but then you have smaller groups, and that again is where we're modelling relationships, building relationships, not just between the students and the teacher, but between the students themselves, because all the research shows that if students feel that connection, they feel as though they belong, then therefore they will stay. You will lose less students. Because they're part of this university.
Exactly. And the comments I have received, Andy and Kathy, from my staff is that they realize that there's a lot of research work on teaching and learning.
Absolutely. It's the whole
And
field,
you have exposed them to research in teaching and learning. You have guided them to, to look at all of this important research in the area of assessment, using of technology, student learning, the relationship between motivation, emotions and learning and things like that. So those things are very extremely useful for them.
We're giving them an extra discipline, or they're getting it for themselves, aren't they? They are a specialist, say, in engineering, but they're now becoming a specialist in pedagogy, in education. And what has really had a lot of praise when I've shown photographs to colleagues in the UK is at the end of the programme, they report back through a poster on something they've done with students, and we ask them to do it in a way which is scholarly, which is underpinned by research. And so, they're embarking in a field of the scholarship of teaching and learning. They could present these posters at international conferences. They can become part of that community as well as their disciplinary communities.
I also think that what we've seen through the groups that we've worked with is a strong commitment to innovation, and I think we've given them confidence to innovate and to do new things with students right across classroom activities, assessment, and also the UK professional framework is based upon the idea of reflection, critical thinking, thinking about what you're doing and making sure that it meets the highest possible standards.
Yes, indeed, because and I have to mention to you also that since we've started this about 2 years ago, I must say teaching and learning has become part of the normal conversation on campus.
Yes,
something that makes me very, very happy, because otherwise we were focusing our conversation on research and publications and kind of leaving teaching and learning aside. Now, this is part of their work, really part of their job, because after all, we want to produce graduates that are very, critically minded, with curiosity, and internationally competent. So I think this framework has given us as guidance, as guides to really achieve our goals. And I can't help you getting into this, because at the end of it, of course, we encourage people to apply for fellowships. And I understand from talking to Kathy is that at Walailak University now, in terms of the number of fellowships that we have achieved, we are among the top 10 among all the country universities.
In Thailand, when we first came here, Thailand was outside the top 10, if you're looking at rankings, the top 10 of countries with fellows, recognised fellows of any category. Since we've worked here, and other universities, of course, in Thailand have also been putting a few staff through, but there's been a huge number of people coming from here, and I think we are probably 9th. We'd have to check.
Yes, no, that's great news. That's great news. That's great news, because it's very interesting. The process of writing application for fellowship itself, as has been reflected by our staff, is a very useful exercise in itself, because when one reflects on one's practice, one gets to know where they have gone through, whether they have done things correctly, effectively, or they need to work on certain things like they might want to add more technology in their teaching and learning and things like that. So that's so we in the process of promoting, getting people to write application for fellowship, they learn a lot, as you say, from reflecting on their own practice.
Well, they have to look at the literature. They cannot write an application without basing it upon research and findings. So it's excellent. Well done.
Yes.
Well done to you for the support.
Yes. Well, that's what we have time for today. Walailak Global, and thank you very much, Professor Andy Hudson and Miss Kathy, representing Advanced HE in the UK, for appearing on the program. Actually, this is already beyond your call of duty. So I thank you very much for appearing on Walailak Global. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes the program for today. And we will have more in the pipeline. So please follow what comes next. Thank you and see you next time.